You are trapped in chains, chains forged not of iron, but of smiles and approval. You seek to be liked, to be loved, to be accepted. Yet those who chase affection die forgotten, while those who command respect live eternal. Today we tear away the illusion. We shall uncover why being liked is your weakness, and how to wield the darker, unshakable power of respect. You walk through life with invisible chains, though you believe yourself free. These chains are not forged of iron or steel. They are made of approval, of applause, of nodding heads and smiling faces. You crave them as the starving man craves bread. Yet in your hunger you surrender your power. The truth is simple. The desire to be liked enslaves you more effectively than any tyrant could. Each time you bend your will to please another, you are selling a piece of yourself. Each time you silence your thoughts for fear of rejection, you place a brick in the prison you are building with your own hands. What you call kindness is often cowardice. What you call compromise is often surrender. And what you call friendship is often dependency dressed in noble clothes. For when you live to be liked, you live not by your own principles, but by the fluctuating mood of others. Your identity becomes a mirror reflecting their desires, rather than a flame burning with your own truth. Consider this: men are inconsistent, ungrateful, shallow in loyalty. Today they may smile at you, tomorrow they may scorn you. A single word, a single failure, and their love evaporates like mist under the morning sun. You cannot build your strength on the fragile foundation of approval, for it will collapse the moment the crowd turns its gaze away. He who seeks to be liked must always perform, always entertain, always serve. He becomes a slave to perception, forever adjusting his mask to suit the audience before him. But a man who wears masks for too long forgets the face beneath. His life becomes performance, and in this theater of weakness, he is never the master of his own stage. Do you not see the cruelty in this? To live as if your worth must be measured by the smiles of others. To move not by your own command, but by invisible strings pulled by those whose opinions should mean nothing to you. This is the trap of approval. It promises safety, but delivers weakness. It whispers of belonging, but hands you chains. And the more you chase it, the deeper you fall into dependence. You are no longer free to speak truth, to act boldly, to strike when the time is right, because you fear the disapproval of those who never mattered. Look at history. Look at rulers who fell not because of lack of ability, but because they wished to be adored. The king who seeks affection from his subjects soon finds himself despised, for love breeds expectation, and when those expectations are not met, resentment grows. The leader who pursues popularity becomes fragile, bending with every storm, until he snaps under the wave impossible demands. Even in your own life, you have felt it. Think of the times you bit your tongue rather than spoke your truth. Think of the moments you said yes, though your heart screamed no, simply to preserve harmony. Each of those moments carved away a piece of your strength. Each of those moments planted weakness in your soul. And what was your reward? Temporary smiles, fleeting approval, a fragile peace that shattered the moment you no longer served their desires. You are drained, yet still you chase more. You give and give again, and still you are never secure, never untouchable, never truly respected. Understand this: when you beg to be liked, you lower yourself to the level of a servant. You put your dignity in the hands of others like a coin tossed to beggars. Respect is not born from this posture. Power is not gained from this submission. You are admired not for your desperate need, but for your ability to stand firm when others demand you bend. But approval makes cowards of men. It teaches you to avoid confrontation, to flee from offense, to silence truth for fear of rejection. And in doing so, it kills your spirit. For what is a man without truth? What is a life lived only for the comfort of others? It is a shadow, an echo, a hollow existence with no weight of its own. The trap of approval does not merely weaken you, it corrupts you. It strips you of authenticity, until all that remains is a creature designed by others, molded by their expectations, living not for power, not for honor, but for applause. A man so enslaved cannot command respect, cannot hold authority, cannot ever rise above the masses he so desperately tries to please. You have been told a comforting lie since your first breath, that kindness will win loyalty, that charm will open doors, That love will shield you from betrayal, but the world does not run on kindness. The world runs on power. Power is the only language that all men understand, whether they admit it or not. To be liked is fragile. To be respected is enduring, and it is respect that gives you true power. Respect makes men hesitate before crossing you. Respect forces your enemies to calculate their risks before acting. Respect endures even when affection fades. For affection is tied to emotion, and emotion is the most unstable foundation a man can build upon. The harsh truth is this: love cannot hold order, but fear and respect can. Consider the ruler who relies on love to keep his subjects loyal. When fortune smiles, they adore him. They shower him with praises. They lift his name high. But the moment famine strikes, or war threatens, or gold runs dry, those same voices turn sharp with blame. The love they offered yesterday turns into hatred overnight, and the ruler who trusted in affection is destroyed by the fickleness of the crowd. But the ruler who commands respect holds his place even in misfortune. The people may not love him, but they will not dare to overthrow him. His authority is rooted not in their changing moods, but in the awe and discipline he instills. He stands like a fortress against the storm, unshaken by the emotional tides of those beneath him. You must understand that people admire strength far more than they admire kindness. They may whisper that they want you to be soft, to be endlessly forgiving, to be pliant. But in truth, they respect only what they cannot easily bend. They respect the man who does not yield to every demand, who stands firm when others crumble, who dares to lead when others beg to follow. The harsh truth of power is this: to secure respect, you must be willing to disappoint. You must be willing to deny approval, to refuse comfort, to embrace the role of the one who is not always liked. For every time you choose respect over affection, you carve deeper authority into the minds of those around you. A man who insists on being liked will never punish betrayal for fear of losing love. He will forgive too easily, tolerate too much, and invite further weakness into his circle. But a man who insists on respect does not hesitate to act when crossed. His justice may appear cruel, but it creates certainty, and certainty commands loyalty more than the soft promises of endless affection. Think of it in your own life. Have you not seen the leaders who are adored but ignored? Have you not seen the kind souls who are praised but never followed? They are liked, yes, but they hold no real power. Contrast them with the man who speaks little, who chooses his words like a blade, whose presence alone stills a room. He is not loved for his warmth, but he is respected for his strength. And when decisions are to be made, when action is required, it is him they follow. Respect makes you irreplaceable. To be liked is to be interchangeable, for there will always be another more charming, more agreeable, more eager to please. But respect is rare. Few can earn it, fewer can hold it. To stand above the masses, you must learn to be respected, even at the cost of being disliked. The harsh truth is that the crowd does not remember the man who made them smile. They remember the man who made them kneel. They do not honor the one who bent to their every wish. They honor the one who stood firm against their pressure. And though they may not say it aloud, though their lips may curse you, in their hearts they cannot help but revere the strength they cannot conquer. Power is not found in affection, but in the balance of fear and respect. Fear without respect is tyranny. Respect without fear is weakness. But together, they create an authority that no betrayal, no storm, no shifting mood can erode. This is the truth that most men will never accept, because they are too addicted to the sweetness of approval. But if you wish to rise above them, if you wish to hold power that endures, you must cast aside the fragile crutch of being liked and instead build your throne upon the unshakable ground of respect. Authority is not born from kindness. It is born from distance, from strength, from the aura that makes others hesitate before speaking your name. There is a darkness in true authority, one that most men fear to touch. And yet, without this dark edge, power slips through your hands like sand. Men want to believe that leaders are loved because of charm, because of generosity, because of a warm spirit that embraces all. This is the dream of the weak. They confuse affection with authority, as if to be adored is the same as to be obeyed. But the truth is more severe. A leader who clings to affection may gather friends, but he cannot command armies. He may win applause, but he cannot inspire obedience. The dark edge of authority lies in the willingness to be feared, if fear ensures order. Fear does not mean cruelty without cause. It does not mean savagery for its own sake. It means clarity. It means those beneath you know that betrayal carries consequence, that disobedience carries weight, that your word is not suggestion but law. When fear walks hand in hand with respect, no man doubts your position. To wield this edge, you must distance yourself from the hunger of the crowd. A ruler who is too familiar, too eager to mingle, too quick to comfort, destroys the aura that makes him formidable. Familiarity breeds contempt. Men will always find flaws in those they see too closely, and they will begin to treat him as equal. But equality cannot command. Authority requires elevation. It requires that you remain slightly beyond reach, a figure both seen and felt, yet never fully possessed. Observe how the greatest leaders in history carried themselves. Their steps measured, their words rare, their punishments decisive. They did not waste themselves in endless explanations, nor did they seek to soothe every complaint. They understood that authority dies when you place yourself too low, when you beg to be understood. The dark edge is not in brutality, but in restraint. Knowing when to act with silence, when to strike without warning, when to remind all that your presence is not to be taken lightly. Imagine the leader who forgives every insult. At first, he seems noble, but in time, those around him test further, growing bolder in their defiance, sensing no sharpness in his hand. Soon, his voice carries no weight, for they know his patience is endless and his wrath non-existent. Compare this to the leader who forgives rarely, who lets small slights pass unnoticed, but crushes betrayal with absolute force. His people do not dare to gamble on his tolerance. They measure their actions carefully, because they know his shadow watches, and his hand strikes with certainty. This is the essence of the dark edge, unpredictability balanced with restraint. Too much cruelty breeds rebellion, but too much softness breeds decay. Authority thrives in the balance, where men do not know if your mercy will save them or if your judgment will end them. And in that uncertainty they obey. Do not be deceived by the illusion of equality. Men do not follow those they see as the same. They follow those who appear touched by something greater, those who create an atmosphere of awe. The dark edge of authority demands that you cultivate this atmosphere. Dress not as they dress, speak not as they speak, act not as they act. Make them feel that in your presence, they are in the company of something beyond themselves. Distance is not coldness, it is strategy. For distance breeds reverence, and reverence breeds respect that affection alone cannot create. Even in the smallest of circles, the principle holds true. Among your peers, in your family, in your work, you will find that the one who draws the line with unshakable firmness commands the room, not the one who bends to every request, not the one who tries endlessly to be liked. Authority belongs to the one whose silence can make others nervous, whose displeasure weighs heavier than another man's approval. This is not cruelty. It is the recognition that men, by nature, test boundaries. And if those boundaries are not enforced, chaos consumes order. Authority requires sacrifice. It requires that you abandon the childish desire to be loved by all. For love is scattered and fragile, but respect mixed with fear is absolute. To embrace the dark edge of authority is to accept that some will resent you, that some will whisper against you, that some will curse your name in private. But even in their resentment, they will obey. Even in their whispers, they will hesitate before defying you. And hesitation is the soil in which authority grows. To wield this dark edge is to understand that perception is more powerful than affection. It is to understand that a single act of firmness commands more loyalty than 100 gestures of kindness. It is to understand that when men see you as inevitable, when they feel that to cross you is to risk ruin, they will follow you even when they do not love you. The time has come to abandon illusions and to see the world not as you wish it to be, but as it truly is. To walk the Machiavellian path is to cast aside the childish comforts of affection, to reject the fragile security of being liked, and to embrace instead the iron discipline of respect and power. For it is not affection that shapes history, but the deliberate hand of those who dared to rule without apology. The Machiavellian path begins with perception. You must understand that men live more by appearances than by truth. They do not see what you are, they see what you present. Therefore, you must craft yourself as a figure of inevitability, a man who stands above common weakness. This does not mean constant cruelty, nor does it mean reckless pride. It means every gesture, every silence, every decision must project strength, control, and mastery. When men look upon you, they must feel that your authority is not borrowed, not requested, but demanded by the natural order. You cannot travel this path if you still hunger for affection. To crave to be liked is to open your armor to the daggers of others. The man who walks the Machiavellian path does not beg for love. He commands recognition. He does not adjust his soul to please the crowd. He bends the crowd to orbit around his gravity. Affection is seasonal. Respect, once forged, becomes eternal. On this path, you must learn the art of balance. A ruler feared without respect becomes a tyrant, despised and hunted. A ruler respected without a trace of fear becomes weak, pushed aside by those who sense no danger in defiance. The Machiavellian path demands the blend: enough fear to discourage betrayal, enough respect to maintain loyalty, enough distance to preserve awe. This balance is delicate, but it is the essence of true power. You must also learn the virtue of restraint. The weak man believes that authority requires constant noise, endless commands, perpetual displays of power. But true authority thrives in silence and precision. One well-timed act of strength outweighs 100 scattered gestures. The Machiavellian path teaches that the appearance of control is as important as control itself. Men must not only know you are capable of force, they must imagine it even when you are still. The path also demands the courage to embrace necessity. There will be moments when mercy weakens you, when kindness betrays you, when forgiveness destroys your stability. In these moments, the Machiavellian does not hesitate. He does what must be done, not because he enjoys cruelty, but because he understands survival. To act decisively, to cut without hesitation, to silence rebellion before it grows. This is not brutality, it is wisdom, for hesitation is the death of authority, and those who falter invite their own downfall. Walking this path also requires the cultivation of mystery. Do not allow men to fully know you. What is familiar becomes ordinary, and what is ordinary cannot command respect. Keep part of yourself hidden. Let your silence weigh heavier than words. Let your unpredictability instill caution. Men obey most readily what they cannot fully grasp. The Machiavellian path is not about transparency, but about design. Crafting the perception that you are always greater, always beyond reach, always one step ahead. This path does not make you adored, and it does not make you universally loved. But love is not the currency of power. Influence, respect, fear, and inevitability. These are the currencies that last when the crowd's cheers turn to silence. The Machiavellian path demands that you rise above the fragile comfort of being liked, and instead anchor yourself in the strength that cannot be stolen. Consider this truth: when a man chooses to be liked, he becomes vulnerable to the moods of the masses. But when a man chooses to be respected, he becomes untouchable, for respect is rooted not in whim, but in recognition of strength. The Machiavellian path is not easy, for it requires sacrifice. It requires solitude at times. It requires that you walk away from praise. It requires that you embrace the role of the one who is feared as much as he is revered. But in exchange, it grants you freedom. The freedom to act without begging, the freedom to lead without hesitation, the freedom to live not as a servant of others' approval, but as the master of your own authority. To walk this path is to see clearly that life is not a quest for affection, but a contest of strength. Those who chase love are forgotten. Those who secure respect are remembered. The Machiavellian path is not about being good in the eyes of others. It is about being undeniable in the face of time. You have now seen the truth stripped of its disguise. You have learned that to be liked is to be enslaved, trapped in the fragile prison of approval. You have learned that power is not sustained by affection, but by respect, by the firm presence that outlasts the shifting winds of men's emotions. You have learned of the dark edge of authority, that balance of awe and fear, distance and discipline, which carves order from chaos. And you have walked the Machiavellian path, a road that rejects the weakness of affection and embraces the permanence of power. The world belongs not to those who beg to be loved, but to those who demand to be remembered. Respect is the fortress that cannot be toppled, the weapon that cannot be disarmed, the crown that cannot be stolen. Love is borrowed, respect is owned. Affection is fleeting, authority is eternal. So cast away the hunger to be liked. Let the crowd chatter, let the weak chase smiles, let the masses drown in their own need for approval. You are no longer of their kind. You stand apart, untouchable, inevitable, feared and respected beyond their reach. This is the secret men refuse to see. This is the truth they will never accept. But you now carry it within you. Walk with it, and you will never again bow to the weakness of being liked. Walk with it, and you will wield the dark, unshakable power of respect.